So you want to write for Warhammer? Here's my tips. Hello, I'm Justin Hill, prize-winning author and creator of Worlds with Words. And yesterday I talked about reading. If you're not reading, you're not going to be able to write. And reading with an awareness as well, so kind of critical reading. It doesn't have to be the whole novel. You can just take a page and just look at what the writer is doing with each sentence. How long are the sentences, how they're using their words, where they're breaking sentences, where they're breaking their paragraphs, how much dialogue are they using, what is the dialogue doing in the story. So those are things to think about. And the next one I want you to think about, or my next tip, is character, because story really is all about character. And I think character creation, again, one way would be to look at a novelist that you like and say, pick a character that you really like and write down what you know about them and how they react in certain situations in a story. Maybe action situations versus situations where they are required to think or required a kind of mental challenge. So think about these. I'm a big fan of kind of questionnaires or kind of some character building. So stories are essentially about conflict. And those can be conflict within the characters as well as against the setting, against things that are happening, other characters in the story. So I think it's really good to have kind of complex characters that you can put into complex situations, because they do things that are very interesting. And you've got to remember there's a reader there who's going to pay money and give you their time to read your stories. So you've got to interest them. So complex characters. There are some great questionnaires. I remember the Death Watch role-playing game had you could roll dice and roll your character. That can be a great way, because sometimes the kind of odd things that pop up are quite interesting. I have a character questionnaire that I used to use with my creative writing students, which is not hugely 40K useful, but it might be. I'll see if I can find it and post it up. But create complex character, as if we would kind of do with a role-playing game, and they'd do their backstory. So work out who they are, what they want, what are their fears. I always think fear. What's the thing they fear most? If you know that, you know a lot about how that character will react in many situations. What do they fear? What's the worst? I often used to say, what's the worst thing can happen to your character? And then make it happen to them.